Breakfast Show on London's radio station.
Weekday mornings from 7 to
BBC Radio London.
All right, lovely listener, you know that we have been talking about knife crime endlessly on this programme. We talk and we talk and we talk. And what is the result? The result seems to be, and it's not our responsibility, but certainly we can't help observing, a 5-year high in knife crime in London. Why is that happening? What is going on, and what, if anything, can be done to stop it? We have asked the so-called experts on this. We have asked the Metropolitan Police, we have asked youth workers, we have asked parents, we've asked all sorts of people. What they have in common is, frankly, they're old. They're not the people who actually are there at the coalface of London life. They're not the people who themselves might be carrying a knife. So we thought what we'd do, particularly on half term, is to ask some young people about this, because maybe their insight will at least illuminate the subject and let us know more vividly than we do already what's going on and why it is that some young Londoners are carrying knives. Earlier in the show, I spoke to Joshua Kalo. He's 15 years old, and he is a close friend of Kamari Barnes, who, as you know, was stabbed to death outside his school in Kensal Green just 3 weeks ago. Now, I've said that so many times on the programme, but I've never felt it as deeply as saying it in front of Joshua, because for Joshua, this is real. This isn't just me talking about some news story that's happening out there. This is his actual friend. He's lost his great friend, and it's, you know, you look at his face and you can see that this is something agonising for him. It's not just something he's talking about on the radio, it's his actual life. So he's had an incredible response from you, loveliness, and we've heard from so many people who really appreciated Joshua coming in and the things that he said. So Joshua, thank you very much indeed for being here. I know to you it looks like we're doing this again, but there are some people who have only switched on now. People have just woken up and didn't hear you last time, for example. So I asked you why it is that some young men in London carry knives when they go about their business, and you explained extremely eloquently why. Can you give me that answer again, or something like it? Why is it that young guys are carrying knives?
To gain power.
Over who?
Over almost everyone in their age range.
Right, so over their peers, over people of their similar age. And can you explain how that works? So you're someone who carries a knife. Presumably you need other people to know this. Is that because no point carrying it if everybody knows? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then what? How does it give you power? And you said earlier, you said a name. You get a name because of it.
Because people feel intimidated if you're carrying around a knife.
And does that mean that other people respond by thinking they ought to carry a knife as well because they know that this guy over there is doing it? So
yeah, that's how some people are starting to feel. A lot of people are starting to feel like that.
Right. And so you're carrying a knife and you get this name as what? As somebody who is badder than other people. Is that the whole thing?
Yeah.
And to be bad, that somehow gives you a status. It means that you're somebody rather than nobody.
People don't want to mess with you.
People don't want to mess with you. And if, as most of the time or often happens, you end up in prison as a result because you do some damage to somebody or even take a life out. When you come out of prison, how was your status then?
Your status is probably, it's even better because now that you've gone to prison, people are even more intimidated because you've been through it all now.
And so you're a bad man, and people know that, and they fear you, and that's something. That's something to be proud of.
And now they know you've done it, so they think they can obviously do it again. They've done it before.
Right. So you have this reputation, and that is something worth having. That's a status. That's a kind of identity, is it?
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the same for other people, but I have this mindset where if you go to prison, when you come out, like, it messes with your head. Your head's a bit screwed up.
And so what, you're more likely to do something bad again?
Yeah, I think it makes you worse.
Right. Now, I've said that you were a good friend of Kamari's, and I'm sorry to ask you about him again because I know it's difficult to talk about him. I completely understand that. But just to give people an idea of this guy, he was just 15 years old in his school uniform, and nobody's got a bad word to say about Kamari. People say he was like the joy of the group and a joker. What kind of a guy was he, would you say?
Such a humble, generous, funny guy. And a great friend. I could speak to Kamari about anything. And no matter what mood I was in, he could always just make me laugh. So good person to have around.
And I'm guessing not the kind of guy that anyone would imagine would get mixed up in something like this. But I didn't know him. Would you say that he was not the obvious choice?
No, it was so unexpected.
Completely unexpected. Would you say among the people that you know, or maybe people at your school, or people at other schools around the area, there are people you would sort of imagine might get?
I'm not even gonna lie. I have friends who I wouldn't be surprised if they were stabbed. But Kamari, I would have never expected it.
Right. When you say, I've got friends and I wouldn't be surprised if they were stabbed. So these are people, obviously, they're your friends. You like them. You get on with them. They're people that you have got things in common with, etc. What is it about them that means that they are likely to be stabbed? I'm guessing they're part of a gang or they carry a knife. Why do they do that and you're not doing that? You don't do that. What's the difference between you and them, would you say?
Well, I can't even answer why they're doing it. I think it's to create a name again.
So it's what you said, it's a kind of status kind of a
Status.
thing. Will they come from families? I know I'm asking like big generalised questions. I know I am. You can tell me off at anytime you don't like a question, just tell me and say no, I'm not. I don't know, whatever it is. But do we think they come from families where the parents or parent, depending on how many parents are in the home, have said never carry a knife, don't join a gang, be a good boy, it's important that you pass some GCSEs, I want you to go to college, you have a life, you have prospects? Or do you think they might come from families where nobody has actually bothered to say much like that to them?
I believe that their parents definitely have told them that they shouldn't do these things.
Yeah.
I think it's about, at the end of the day, all your parents can do is tell you need to do this. It's your choice whether you listen or not.
Sure. But they come, you think, from families who love them, who care about them, who worry about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, not families where they're just out on the street, till 2 o'clock in the morning and nobody notices.
I just feel that if someone's not listening, it makes it harder and harder for someone to enforce a certain rule.
Sure, absolutely agree with you. Let me bring in the other young people in the studio. We've got Takesha here, who's 15 years old from Catford, and we have Amina from Hackney, also 15 years old. Let me bring Takesha in first of all. Takesha, obviously it's a horrible conversation, isn't it? Takesha, to be talking about knife crime and people carrying knives. Are you aware of people of your age carrying knives in London?
Yes, I am. As a young person, I see a lot of people my age carrying knives. It's glorified so much because of the cultures that we're surrounded by.
When you say young people, do you mean girls as well as boys, or just boys?
From my experience or from my knowledge, I mainly see young men carrying knives. They flaunt it on social media, and it's almost like they're trying to glorify this type of lifestyle.
And when you heard Joshua there saying it's about a name, it's about a status,
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I would most certainly agree with that, and that's why I do believe that these young men do carry their knives for status. I believe that, however, although I believe that they do carry it for status and for a name and to big themselves up, I do believe that stems from insecurities, and that stems from their fear of safety. They're trying to put on this persona so that other gangs or other rivals don't attack them and think that they are the person they're trying to be.
Right, and I mean, if you look at the story of Kamari, you can see why you would be insecure, and why you would be scared, and why you would be nervous. I mean, who wouldn't be nervous if you think that somebody might have a knife? I mean, the other day we had the police officers, police in here with some of the knives that they brought in, Joshua, from Knife Amnesty, and you should have seen these.
It really does
these
shake the
knives were
community.
unbelievable. They were, they had machetes, they had those zombie knives. They'd recovered all of those from the streets of London. Samurai swords and the whole flipping thing. They were. I mean, they were in a great big box on the floor just down there. They were quite unbelievable.
It's terrible, and they're bringing them into schools.
But have you seen that yourself?
I haven't personally seen a knife brought out in front of me.
Right.
However, I do know when I was in year 8, I saw one of my friends in school. He got stabbed in his leg from going to a rival school, and trying to fight with the other rival gangs from that school as well. I've seen it growing up and I've just become desensitized to it because it's just normal for us in the community that we live in. Although we are desensitized, we're used to people dying, it does shake fear through the community. When one dies, 2 lives are taken and the whole community is shaken. It really does affect us, and it's
Really,
almost
so
like a
you-
ripple effect.
I mean, you're talking, you're incredibly eloquent about this. You've obviously
Thank
spoken
you.
about it an awful lot of times before. You've obviously thought about it a lot.
I'm very
But-
passionate about
Yeah, I
it.
can see that. You're fantastically passionate about it, and I don't blame you. I mean, if it's life and death at stake, why wouldn't you be passionate? It's not something you can fail to care about, is it? You've got to care about this. But you just said, we've become desensitized to it. You said we're used to people dying.
Yeah.
And when you say people, you mean very young
people.
people.
It's the age range is going down. It started off at 17. We're used to people being stabbed, but now that they're actually dying, it is shaking fear through the community. I've seen, I haven't physically seen my friends get stabbed, but I've heard of people from my school getting stabbed in their leg, getting stabbed in all sorts of places, and it's never really shook me until now.
When you say the community,
Yes.
what is the community? Who are the community, do you reckon?
The young people, the parents are afraid for their children. When I can't go out at certain times or to certain areas. My mum has to prep talk me when I go into